How are you?
Living the dream.
Living the dream.
Living the
On
dream.
a Wednesday
On a
afternoon at 5
Wednesday.
o'clock.
It is going up on a Wednesday. Yeah. Well, let's see. My child just woke up from a nap, so kind of in a nightmare.
So she's up right now?
He's up. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. I mean, life goes on.
She's going to be awake for many, many years to come. So
I know.
Yeah. But Christie, I know who you are, and I believe that most of my listeners or those tuning in know who you are, because you definitely are somebody here in Philadelphia.
Am I though? I don't know.
We talked about that
low
before.
Profile. I'm just trying to keep a low profile.
People know your name. People know you.
So I'm Christie Ileto, and I work at 6ABC Action News. I report on important stories. I anchor sometimes, but mostly right now, just because of everything that's going on with coronavirus, I've been out in the streets, telling important stories about what's going on, how our community is dealing with everything. Mostly right now, my focus has been a lot of the businesses that are trying to reopen, the businesses that have been impacted. It's really sad because I know, you live in, is it Roxborough or Manayunk?
Same difference, really.
Okay.
It depends on who you ask.
So there was
Wissahickon.
Okay. So there was what was that business that just recently closed down?
Red River.
Yes, and then in
Staple
Old
for
City,
years here.
I did a story on Monday about how Pharmacia closed down.
5
and it's
years?
just no, they've been around for 15 years.
15 years?
Yeah, and it's just so sad because you don't want, a lot of the concern for people that live here, especially homeowners, but then just like anybody that lives downtown or whatever neighborhood that you're living in the city, is that, are a lot of these businesses going to be able to survive? What's going to be left open when all of this is said and done? And the closure of some of these staples in these neighborhoods, is that going to trigger more businesses to fold because of the stay-at-home orders and the lockdown? So it's, you don't want to see your neighborhood look a certain way when everything is said and done. And so you're doing what you can, given the economic blight that is happening. You're doing what you can to support your local businesses, but at the same time, it's sad. I mean, you don't want to see businesses and storefronts boarded up and have graffiti on it. You don't want to see that.
No, and I'm seeing these posts more and more often on social media, and I actually had to take Facebook and delete it off my phone, the app itself, because
it's so depressing.
I found myself getting sucked down these wormholes and getting depressed with it, because I'm seeing all these things that are happening. And I get it, because being a small business owner myself, I'm going through it. I'm going through emotions, and I'm doing the best I can to make it happen. And, when people say we're all in it together, we are. We're all feeling some pains, whether people are working, whether they're not working. People on the front lines are feeling some pains in certain ways. You yourself in the media, and you yourself personally came into this pandemic after being
Don't get me started.
Maternity leave for 3 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's actually been kind of like an emotional roller coaster, right? For anybody that is a new mom, you kind of know what to expect. After you have a child, you've been dealing with a lot of the postpartum and so forth. And so, I mean, for me, we really couldn't go anywhere after we came back from the hospital. I've been in Philadelphia since December 24th, really didn't leave the house that much. And just when I started to get back into a routine of everything, that's when the gyms closed and the stores closed, and all the things that I was doing with my friends that were when I was still in town, you couldn't really do anything anymore. My husband and I had plans to do spring break.
You did?
Yeah, we had so many places that we were supposed to be going, and then he was like, I don't feel comfortable leaving. What if we get trapped in another country and we can't come back and we have to quarantine, and we're quarantined away from our newborn and so forth. And so that's really scary, because you're like, okay, so let's not do that. Let's wait it out. We'll ride out the storm. And then everything is closed, and it's just okay, so then I go back to work and you can't do anything. There's the stress of covering the stories and the fear of, am I going to contract this? Am I going to bring it back home to my child? Is my family going to be safe? And you can't go anywhere. And I'm just oh my God, it's so emotional. just from like a new mom standpoint, and then trying to get back into the swing of work. And it's so different from when you went out on maternity leave, right? Like I went out on maternity leave in December, and this was not the mode of operation. And now this like totally different on how we report and how we tell stories. And I mean, you know me, like I'm not scared of a lot. Like I'll go anywhere pretty much, and I'll talk to anybody.
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah, like in my favorite neighborhood, no joke, is Kensington. I love being there, and I love telling people stories in Kensington. But
that's what I love about you, because you're so real. You get it. You know, at the end of the day, people are people, and you see that. So, but
right.
anyway, you know.
But it's hard because, like, again, I'll talk to anybody, but at the same time, because a lot of people don't show the symptoms, it's kind of like, okay, so do you have it? Do you not have it? Like,
Well,
I have to protect myself.
and it's interesting because, you know, there you were out for 3 months, you know, on maternity leave, dealing with, you know, what new mothers deal with on maternity leave, and getting to know your new best friend, you know, and, you know,
We just started liking each other, by the way.
you did, what's that?
I said we just started liking each other, by the way.
Just recently?
Yeah, just recently, like maybe last.
Was it, did she finally like be like, okay, I'll be cool with you, Ma?
It was kind of like, okay, I guess you're not going anywhere, so let me just adapt to who you are.
Well, that's good. All right, so she's understanding you a little bit.
Right. She knows. I mean, I'm trying to teach her that I'm the boss, but she's still kind of hazy. Fine.
I think she's gonna probably find that out sooner than later. But you know, there you were 3 months out. You know, you were, you know, like I said, getting back in the swing of things. You know, you were, you know, March, you know, 18th, when all hell broke loose, was when you were basically really just getting yourself acclimated, because you were 2 weeks away from coming back on air.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, I get back on air, and it's nothing that you ever experienced before. You're using extended microphones.
Oh, I mean, I get it. I get why we have to use them. But so if you've ever seen me out in the field, which I know you have, but if anyone else who's watching this has seen me out, you know I'm not very tall. So literally the boom mic is my height. So I'm walking around carrying this pole that is as tall as me.
10?
No, 5 foot. But it's literal, but it is it's like my height. So I'm like walking around, and every time I interview somebody, because I'm not able to work out the way I used to, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like holding it, but I'm pressing it up against my stomach like I'm fishing, because it's like so heavy to hold out.
One of those fishing harnesses for like deep sea fishing for you.
But the great thing is like people get it. I mean, a lot of people are pretty fine with me interviewing them. I mean, there've been a couple, which I completely understand. Like there've been a couple stories that had to do with doctors, and we just do Zooms. But for the most part, I like to interview people in person, because it's just easier to tell the story that way. Also, it looks better on TV, just like seeing there's my husband.
That was so awesome. That was the second time. I smiled really big the first time when I saw her come by with him. So
you can walk past. I'll block you guys. Yeah, but I mean, people are pretty understanding. I'm always like, hey, this is how we're doing interviews, and they're like, no, I get it. Thank you so much. I don't really want to be that close, and I'm like, it's fine. Because I mean, they don't know who we've come in contact with. I mean, even though it's not a lot of people, and I surely don't know who these people have come in contact with either. So,
and I've been seeing this on the news. I've been seeing people getting interviewed, and you know, there you are out in the field doing it. You're wearing your masks. You're interviewing people. Some of them aren't. You know, do you get skeptical when somebody's not wearing a mask? You're okay with them?
No, but see, I am a hypochondriac, but I'm not scared. Like, I'm not a scared squirrel. Right. Like, I feel like you can still live, you know, you do what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you what to do. I can only give you the facts. Right. So like, if that's how you choose to live your life, that's how you choose to live your life. I can tell you why it's important to wear a mask, but it's not my job to tell you, oh my God, you have to wear the mask. Like, I'm not Patty PPE. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not Patty PPE. So that doesn't bother me. Like, I'm still gonna, if you saw something as far as like my story, or you have like a critical piece of information that we need to get for an interview, then I'm still gonna talk to you. It's not gonna keep me from talking to you.
Right.
But I mean, do I think it's ignorance to not wear a mask. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I mean, but just like be responsible, but it's not my job to tell you to, I mean,
absolutely.
you're an adult.
I don't walk by people on the street that aren't wearing a mask and like, oh my gosh, not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
That's not, hey, you do you, I'll do me.
Right.
But like social responsibility is if I'm going to be in a large situation or crowd, I'm hoping, if I'm in the store, everybody has a mask on. I really am.
Well, I mean, that's the rule right now is like if you go into a store, you need to wear a mask. Like, I don't know why they would be letting somebody in without a mask. That's crazy. Let me know where that place is because I need to do a story on that.
Once again, in the store, the mask comes down to here, or it's up here or something. So you've been adjusting a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, but things could be worse. Oh.
Absolutely, they could be. Have you been able to go into the station at all?
No, we don't do that.
Whoa, so this is even crazier for you. Here you are, maternity leave, coming back, and all your stuff is done from your car or on.
It's actually really crazy. So everything is always done in the live truck, which is kind of normal for the most sense. Like if I have to do Zoom interviews, I actually do them from my house because I'm set up to go live from my living room. So I'll do it that way. And then I'll have the photographer, like I can send it to like a cloud and then he gets it and he can edit it. But yeah, for the most part, like a lot of times he just kind of scoops me up from my house and then we just like hit the streets and then he drops me off.
So
yeah, it's not horrible.
This is all new.
It's so new. Like that never used to be the case. I'll probably drive to work tomorrow, but I haven't driven my car to work since last Monday. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
That's crazy.
So this is totally new. You really have been adjusting to a lot of new things, Christie.
Yeah, you have to just roll with the punches. I mean, like adapting is the key to survival. And the thing is like, even though my daughter doesn't understand, I feel like everything that's happening is such a teachable moment because like, for instance, when all of this was starting before the lockdown, a lot of people were like refusing to go into certain stores and so forth. And like my daughter and I like would walk around the city and I remember walking into one of my favorite places. Oh my God. Kafar. I'm obsessed with Kafar. If you've ever been there, it's like the bakery of Zahav. And I just walked in there and we were getting like a bunch of pastries. And I can't remember what the, like their staff is phenomenal, but I can't remember what the cashier said to me, but I remember my remark to her was, we're not going to live in fear. Like we're going to live responsibly, but I'm not going to let things keep me from living my life. Like if I want to take my daughter out to go get a pastry, I'm going to go and get a pastry. If I have to put a mask on and put gloves on, that's fine. I have to strap her to my chest and make sure, I actually had her tucked into my coat because it was cold that day. So like, so she was like strapped to my chest and then I had like this big, it's called like the Amazon coat, which by the way is like phenomenal. And if you're trying to hide a pregnancy, like that's the way to like wear a coat. And so I zipped her up into like the Amazon coat and we were walking around. So I just looked like this huge snowman. And I was like, I'm going to go and get my eyebrows threaded and I'm going to go do whatever I need to get done before everything closes because I know it's coming. I just need to go run these errands. But I'm going to live responsibly. I'm just not going to live in fear.
And that's the way I felt too. Like, I'm not going to allow it to hold me hostage. If I follow the protocol that they're establishing upon us to do what we're allowed to do, supposed to do, then I feel good about myself. Now, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to hurt somebody else. Well, then shame on me.
Right.
And, I had this, I made it a status post the other day and, I had a bunch of people who like, sort of went to town on it, it was sort of like, like you do me, but don't hurt each other along the way, respect each other. And, follow that protocol. And if you do that, that's okay. You should be okay with that. You should be able to do what you want to do in that aspect, but do it responsibly.
Right.
So many people don't. So many people don't. So I want to go back to your 5-foot comment real quick because I was The funny thing is for as long as I've known you now, like I'm not one like to Google somebody or look at like stuff on the internet about something.
Did you Google my height? Because that's like really
No,
crazy.
what I did was like
That's a Google search though, which I think is so ridiculous.
Well, it's funny because there's it was like an information sheet and it said height 5'4", and I was
really?
and I'm like, is she wearing her heels that they were measuring?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, if I was wearing my heels, I'd probably be 5'4".
But anyway, I just had to give you that one and tell you that there was a website out there that quoted you at 5'4". So, but are you there?
Yeah, okay.
You froze on me for a second.
I know. I'm sorry. I was like, what's happening? Okay, can you hear me though?
Yes. Like, whoa. Anyway, so you came to Philly what? How many years ago? How long have you been here?
Like 4 years.
4 years. So before Philly, where were you?
I was in Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Which is basically like a smaller Philadelphia.
Did you like it in Baltimore?
It was okay. I had a lot of learning experiences there, so that was good. I think the best thing about Baltimore was that because I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland, which is a suburb of DC, it was very close to where I was from and where my family lives. So that was really nice. And I actually just commuted from my parents' house to Baltimore every day. But also, if you're familiar with that area, Baltimore and DC are like very separate entities. I think the best way to compare it is like how North Jersey and South Jersey are part of the same state, but they consider themselves like New Yorkers in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's how Maryland is. That's how like Baltimore and DC is, and especially if you are comparing like the suburbs of both of those cities. So like the suburbs in Maryland around Baltimore are like very Baltimore, and then the suburbs around DC, like Montgomery County, where I'm from, is like we have nothing to do with Baltimore. We're like, oh, Baltimore, The Wire, like it's kind of like that.
So when people ask you where you're from, do you say DC?
Yeah, they don't know where Silver Spring is. I do.
You ever just say Maryland or no?
No, I said, well, not here. When I was at Northwestern, which is where I went to school in Chicago, I would say I'm from Maryland, or I would say I'm from DC. And then if somebody says, we're in DC, I would say, actually, I'm from Silver Spring. And, oh, okay.
I'm like, oh, Maryland, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you're from Virginia. No.
Well, because if you say you're from Maryland, everyone says, oh, you're from Baltimore. And you're like, no, I'm not from Baltimore.
So Silver Springs, and you were reporting in the Baltimore area. Silver Springs had the floods. What year was that?
I don't think I was there.
No, you were here. Was that after you were gone? So did you was that your first, what was your first job? Where was
God, my first job was in Alabama.
Really? How many did you do?
God, it was yeah, oh my God, that was the first place.
Really?
I carried a camera, I would edit, I shot everything, I reported. So in Alabama, like football is king. And I literally they had this thing called like Friday Night Lights, like Friday Night Football. It was, I can't.
Like the movie.
Yeah. And I literally had to shoot football highlights.
You did?
And then call the plays.
Wait, so you shot it and called the plays?
I had to like call the highlights. It was so bad. So I basically hired this guy with like this college student who was an intern, and then he just was hanging around. And I said, hey, I will pay you $20 if I cut these highlights. Tell me how to cut, like what is a highlight, because I like don't really follow football like that, and tell me what to say.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it worked. It was fine. So like the first 2 weeks were pretty rough because I didn't have this help, and then the rest of the season was great because I basically like paid this kid $20. I mean, we're basically the same age anyway. I was like, listen, I'm gonna give you $20 just for tonight. Like, tell me what I need to say. Tell me what's a highlight, whatever. And he was like, okay.
That's awesome. So is that where you learn sports? Because you do report on sports, and things, and you really carry yourself well with it. So.
Well, the only reason why I know a lot about sports is because that's like literally the only language that my husband speaks besides like finance. Because he's an investment consultant. So yeah, he's a former like
froze on me.
The Wall Street Journal. So I need to like, if I want to communicate with him, I need to like know about both of those things.
So does he have like Sports Center going
and also
on?
what I really love, which I don't know if you can kind of see in the background. Well, so we have ESPN on right now, actually.
I thought so.
Commercial.
Yeah. I thought so. That's why I was like, wait, ESPN was on before. Yeah.
I love ESPN. Like I used to be like, ESPN, but now, I mean, their storytelling for 30 for 30s and like their E60s are amazing. And I get so many ideas on how to tell stories here.
Oh, awesome.
From watching 30 for 30s. So.
Because I mean, you actually do cover a
lot of sports. It's crazy.
A lot of sports and a lot of like big sports names you talk to.
It's funny because I like don't know who they are until my husband was like, "Oh, so you interviewed so and so?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess. Okay, bye." I guess I'm just not fazed by it. Like a lot of people would be fazed, and I'm just like, "Yeah."
I get that. You know, I get that. You know, I totally understand. But that's all. What's your favorite thing to report on?
Oh, I don't know. Wait, so it used honestly, I don't know. I would say it's actually a love-hate relationship, right? So like covering things that are sports, like covering sports fans at sporting events is fun in the sense that sports really brings people together from all walks of life, which was something that one of my relatives explained to me about why sports stories are so important, because a lot of social events, like not social events, but yeah, like social issues. A lot of social issues happen first or are covered first in sports before they're covered in real life. You know what I mean? Like integrating sports happened in sports before integration happened like universally around the United States. So I think that especially now with the climate, the political climate, I think that covering sports is really fun because that's a time when it doesn't matter what your party affiliation is. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in. It doesn't matter who you are. You're all drawn together by your love for the Sixers, the Eagles, the Phillies, the Flyers. And I think that is really fun because that's like the one time that everybody's happy unless they're losing. And you can post about it on social media without getting attacked.
Right.
So I will say, like, at this moment, I think covering sports fans is pretty fun.
When you were in Baltimore, you covered something pretty important there, didn't you?
Oh yeah, the riots.
The riots, yeah. And so you covered the riots. What was that like being a 20-something? You know, you're in 20s. You know, covering.
Trying to say I'm old?
After I said that, I'm like, Britt, you just set yourself up.
I'm not far removed.
You know what I'm saying. Don't put words in my mouth. You know, you're young and you're in the, you know, you're doing what you love, your passion. You got a job doing what you want to do, and here you are covering these riots, and those riots were pretty intense. They weren't.
Yeah, but you know what? So I think like I wasn't scared. Obviously, if you know me, you know I was not scared.
There is no
so I covered his arrest, Freddie Gray's arrest, like the day after it happened. And then there were all these protests, and then he passed away. So that was like the first week. And then the second week there were protests, and then his funeral happened, and then the riot happened. And so at that point, like I literally covered it every night, that not only did his family know me, but like the people in his neighborhood and the community knew that I was a familiar face. So I did not feel afraid when everything was happening because they knew who I was. Whereas obviously, like a lot of these, and which I am not condoning anything that these people did, because you should not be attacking police by any means. But they were targeting police and they were targeting outside media. So if you were not a local station, like Philadelphia stations came down, New York stations came down, network news came down. If you were not a local station, like you were also on their list.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
That's pretty
I mean,
intense.
and they can recognize, I mean, it's like if a live truck from another wherever came into Philadelphia to cover something that wasn't like a positive news story. I mean, I'm sure people would be like, what are you doing here? Like, you're only here to cover the bad stuff and you're not here to cover. And so that's kind of how they saw it, as like, you're only here for the riots. You're not here for like what actually happened. And so there were a handful of like journalists that were like attacked. And I think like some news vans had gotten vandalized. So
That's, and now that I think about it, just the other day, you know how like Facebook is very good at telling you like the memories that happen. I had to delete some of them because I don't really remember them, especially with my past and my track record. I'm like, that happened in 2013. I gotta delete that shit. Anyway, but it's the anniversary came up because one of my status updates a few years ago in the last few weeks was, "What's up, Baltimore? Not cool." So was is that like an anniversary?
Yeah, so the 5-year anniversary was April 27th.
Okay. So
and ironically, I think that was also like a Monday too.
So that was like one of the last things you really covered then before you came to Philly, right?
I'm sorry.
That was I said, and then after that you came to Philly.
Yeah, and I mean it was like right after that. But I mean that was a sad time for that city. For sure.
I bet.
There was a lot of.
How many years were you there and doing the news there?
Only 3.
Only
So
3.
not that long.
Also,
Yeah, just,
you know, that's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool to be able to experience things, and I love your lack of fear. You have zero fear. I think that's why you and I clicked right away, was because you were covering stories that a lot of people wouldn't cover when I met you. You were covering the opioid epidemic, and you actually understood it from not just you weren't just looking at it from like the media standpoint. You also understood it from the human side.
well, I mean, those are people too, and I think the thing is like, obvious. I would hope, and I believe just from talking to a lot of the people down there, is it's not like they want to be in that situation, right? Like they have an addiction that has led them to this point in their lives, and this is just happens to be where they find themselves, is living in Kensington on the sidewalk. And while that's not ideal, I mean, they have a story to be told and they're impacted by a lot of things, whether that's safe injection sites, the rampant spread of Hep A last summer, the need for those public restrooms that they actually just last night, one of the photographers that I was with, we drove by, we were like, let's see if those restrooms are still there. They're still there.
Oh yeah, they're still
great.
there.
I'm so glad to see that. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like everybody has a story to tell and they can explain why there's certain things that need to be in their community. And I also understand it from the standpoint of the residents, right? I mean, that's also like not ideal to have that on your block. Like, I don't know how I would feel if that was on my block either, especially with a newborn. So, I mean, I see it from that standpoint too, because it's like, I really don't want this in my backyard. Like, there has to be a way to get this cleaned up. But it's also like, but the bigger problem is there's all these people that need help, and where are they supposed to go?
And I got to be honest with you, you have told their stories many times, and that brings so much awareness to like the cause that is close to my heart and what I believe in and what I fight for. And and that's what I love, because a lot of people are afraid of just that type of story, of telling that story, or talking to somebody who is, has substance use disorder, to approach them. And, that's what I love. I mean, have you always been like that? Have you always been able to approach people?
Honestly, so I was kind of like a scared squirrel in my first job when I was in Alabama. I was like really scared just because I felt like I was a fish on a mountain, right? Like I was completely
This
out of
was
my
right out of
comfort
college.
zone. And being from DC, like it was not the same as what I was used to.
Where in Alabama was this?
Huntsville, which apparently is supposed to be the most progressive part of the state.
My friend was stationed at Red Star Arsenal.
Okay, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Listen, I've tried to block out most of that from my memory, but
Like,
I met a lot of good people there. I'm not gonna lie. I met like a lot of good people. And I think because I was so out of my comfort zone and I was forced to do things that I didn't really want to do, it really made me be able to approach and not necessarily relate to everybody, but to empathize with people that I wouldn't necessarily cross paths with. And I think that really helped me feel like, okay, I can just walk up to anybody. Like I'm just gonna walk up to anyone and just ask whatever question I need to ask. And so while my time in Alabama was very, very short-lived, I think that was probably one of my because
oh, hey.
my internet keeps freezing. I don't know why.
It's okay. I thought it was mine because there was like surge of internet freezes. I believe, you know why? Because everybody's home right now. There is nobody else out and about. They're all at home. So like the internet, like
yeah, everybody's on Zoom. Everybody's like, it's like I can't.
I get it. It's all good. It's totally good. Um, I actually can't stand my internet here, but yeah, but you definitely don't have a fear factor in any way, shape, or form. You don't mind telling those stories, but it's interesting because here you are with that lack of fear factor, and you're dealing with this newborn.
She's a thug. Listen, she was with me when I was doing the Hep A stuff in Kensington. We went everywhere together, obviously. But like there were so many things that we did, and I'm trying to think. So we went to Disneyland together, worked like a 17-hour day.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Sorry. You got to go down there and experience that.
Yeah.
Come on, that's fun.
That was so fun. It was so fun because it was before like that part of the park opened, but it was a long day.
Were you with my favorite cameraman down there too?
Yes, Mike.
I shouldn't say that because Chuck will be like, dude, what's up with that?
That's okay. Yeah, I was with Mike, and I told him. So obviously, I told the managers at my job, but I told him I hadn't said anything to anyone.
You froze.
A 17-hour day.
Did you? And you went on a ride with her?
Yeah, I went on a ride.
That's
I know you're not supposed to, but I was like, I'm gonna go on this ride. This is part of my story. Like I had to get on this ride. It was fine. It wasn't a roller coaster. It was like a simulated,
it was a simulator.
Virtual thing.
That was a pretty cool thing to see there.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. She was fine. Let's see, what else did we do? We interviewed the Black Hebrew Israelites after that whole I'm trying to think what else. We did so many crime scenes. We've been to so many crime scenes. We did a whole lot. I mean, there are things that I, wouldn't want her to see right now, but we did a lot. So she's
and it's funny because of the things you do see, because you see some crazy stuff, Christy. You've seen crazy stuff. You see it. I don't think anything shocks you at this point or surprises you much or catches you off guard, other than some of the things that come out of my mouth to you, I think sometimes that catch you off guard. But I don't think much catches you off guard. Does that help you maybe like instill in her what to expect in years to come? You know what I mean? Well, will you be open with her? Are you there?
Oh yeah. I mean, like even now when we go for walks, I try to show her different things. I mean, I know she's not like necessarily process. It's not registering, right? But I feel like if you talk to your newborn and you're like, hey, this is this and blah blah, and you just show them routinely, like over a certain period of time, what's going on around you, I feel like eventually they'll start to process it. And so, I mean, we do walk around a lot of things. Like we go to Love Park, and obviously, I think just with the fact that there's this stay-at-home order, there's not a lot of people at Love Park except for those who are most vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think it's important that, hey, not everybody is as fortunate as you. And there are people that need a little bit more extra help than others. And while she's only like 4 months, so she's not like registering it, you can still like repeatedly say, hey, not everybody is as lucky as you are. Mm-hmm. And not everybody lives the way you live. So I think it's important for her to see things. Yeah, but I'm always going to be really open with her because I feel like that's a part of like growing, just life. Like life is not lollipops and Jolly Ranchers, okay? Just not. I mean, sometimes there's rainbows, and then other times there's like torrential downpours of storms.
Sometimes more often than others, and I think, it's how you weather those storms that really show that sign of character of who you are and how you get through it and all that other good stuff. But I think it's important when they're young, no matter how old they are, I think to start developing their cognitive, aspect and talking to them or teaching them different languages and stuff like that. Yeah.
I know, we're learning Spanish together.
That's awesome.
We're very lucky because the person who helps me take care of her, our nanny, is bilingual. And so I think it's important that she knows a second language. Also, I mean, like my father's from the Philippines, and to some extent, I kind of feel a little robbed that I wasn't taught Tagalog. So I'm compensating, right? Like I know a little bit of Tagalog, so I'm teaching her that. Obviously, we're speaking English to her at home, and then we speak Spanish to her, or I speak Spanish to her, and our nanny speaks Spanish to her. And that's always, I'm just like, you're just gonna learn everything. Sometimes I speak French to her, and she's just looking at me like, can you just stick with one language?
Does your husband speak basketball to her and football?
Yeah, he basically speaks the stock market. That's what he speaks.
That's not bad,
Speaks macro and microeconomics.
That's not bad because I know nothing about that stock market. You know what I mean?
I just basically telling her we're getting into recession. What'd you say?
I just know when it crashes, it's not a good thing.
Listen, recession is coming. It's coming.
I think it's here. I really do.
I don't think it's gonna. Well, actually, I'm not like an economist, but I would hope that it's not going to be as bad as the Great Recession, which we didn't really feel the effects of until 2009. But I mean, it's coming.
What do you do for fun?
I work out, but like solid core is closed.
and that is fun for you.
That is fun for me. The pain is so fun. They have Zoom classes that I do. So I do the online Zoom classes.
The pain is so fun.
Oh my God, it feels so good. The pain feels so good. Like that is my stress reliever.
Okay. All right. I get that. I'll accept that. So, all right. What else do you do for fun other than working out? Do you watch movies? Are you a movie person?
No, I'm not a cinephile. I mean, I just like being around my friends. But that's also hard right now because of like social distancing and such. So
are you and your friends doing this Zoom thing here ever?
So I like won't Zoom with any of my friends. No, unless they live in a different state, which all my best friends live in different states, but I have like friends that live here. And what I'll do is Clark and I will walk to their house and we'll stand on the sidewalk.
You'll do a walk by.
Yeah, we'll do a walk by and we'll sit on the sidewalk and they'll like stand on their stoop and we'll talk.
That's right. And for me, walking around the city, I see that all day long with people. This morning, it was like 10:30 in the morning in South Philly, and there were 3 ladies in South Philly with cocktails in their hands, like social distancing with their masks on, lifting it up to drink their cocktail. They didn't have the holes in it for a straw, but hey, they're doing the protocol.
Honestly, you have to do what you have to do, because the thing is like a lot of people, I would say like 90% of people need to have like human to human contact. Like you just feel so much better when you see people in person, even if it is from a distance. So I just feel a lot better when I can see my friends, even if they're talking to me through their window and I'm standing on the sidewalk and we're just having a conversation. I feel so much better.
I get it. I'm right there with you. I totally understand that. I like that, but I also like my alone time. You like your private time too, like that.
Yeah, I may do, but I feel like now I'm always alone. Well, I mean, I have my sidekick, but like we're in quarantine.
In quarantine. What about food? What kind of food you like?
Anything that's like super healthy, so basically salad.
Are you a vegetarian?
Listen, I'm on the snapback tour. It's hard out here for a new mom.
Get the heck out. You're working out daily still, like 3 hours.
It's hard out here.
Walking 5 miles. Come on.
Yeah, we did do like a big walk today, which was great, on MLK, which props up to the city for closing down MLK, because that is like a haven in the middle of the week at noon. There's like nobody out there. It's great.
That's because other people are working. I
know, that's the best time to go, is like right in the middle of the day.
I love it. I love it. So healthy. But are you vegetarian?
No, I'm a pescatarian.
Okay, so you don't eat meat at all?
No, I mean, if we're celebrating, I'll have a steak. But most of the time, I just like to eat fish.
See, I am just vegetarian now, and I don't know. I can't do meat at all anymore, and I just can't do fish anymore. I don't know why. Do you? See, I miss the shrimp and lobster. Shrimp and lobster.
So good.
So, this has actually been a really enjoyable for me, just for the simple fact that I really haven't been able to connect with you since December.
I know, it's been so long.
I mean, we connect through, texts and DMs, and when you send me a picture of your little sidekick, that makes me happy, even though I am not a fan of children.
I feel you. That's where my head was.
Well, and real quick, because we only have a few minutes left here, but like real quick, like, what kind of advice would you give to, somebody, any woman who's going to be a newborn mom that has to deal with, a newborn coming into their world? What kind of advice would you give them?
I mean, well, what everyone keeps saying to me is like, don't be hard on yourself, because I mean, you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to get to know this new person. This new person's trying to get to know you. And everything is kind of like a baptism by fire. You can read a ton of books and hear all the advice from everybody else, but it's not going to really register until like you actually have to confront any of those issues and deal with it. So you just have to be kind to yourself and just take it day by day. And that's really what I'm doing.
And breathe a little bit. And for you yourself, it's probably pretty hard to take it easy on yourself, because you are very much a fast-paced 0 to 60 type of person. You get crap done. You expect.
Yeah. She's made me slow down.
Softened
you. She's made me slow down. I mean, so actually, like, one of the photographers I was working with last night was like, I can tell that like you are a little bit calmer about things. I was like, yeah, I mean, because some things is just not worth like getting upset over. But don't get me wrong, like I'll still get upset if something's done incorrectly. But there are a lot of things that's just like not worth it anymore, just because it's somebody else that's like, no, that's not worth it. This is worth getting upset over. This is not worth getting upset over. So
I love this. I love to hear this from you. It makes me happy. It's so awesome. And you just taking the time out of your schedule. I mean, you're working like crazy. You work nights. Anybody who wants to see you, Christie Ileto, can tune into Channel 6, ABC, Channel 6, Action News, for the, go ahead, what times?
10 and 11. So one is like PHL 17 at 10, and the other one's Action News at 11 with Jim.
And then and Jim likes you. I can
love Jim. He's like
camaraderie there.
Such a staple of our
And
station.
not just that, sometimes, you take over anchoring of the desk. We didn't even talk about that. And you,
Oh yeah,
big board, and you fill in on Saturday mornings with Gray. You really do a lot. You actually do brighten up days of people. You brighten my day. I enjoy talking with you. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate all your support and just who you are and what you do. And thank you for your time. I know
thanks
you
for having me on.
got it. And thank your husband for
Making a cameo.
oh yeah, that was great. Twice, not once, but twice. Very excited about that. You did a good job of covering it up though at the end. But
I was like,
yeah. But thank him for allowing the time, because I know sometimes it's hard with a family, especially going through things right now where you're all trying to
yeah.
get together. So, but whatever, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Britt. It's so good to see you again.
Yeah, I miss you. I'll hope to see you real soon.
All right.
All right. For the rest of you out there, have a great rest of your day. This is Britt Carpenter. I was here with Christie Ileto. I'll have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay well, wear your masks, do you, and always be a voice for what you stand for. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay. Bye.